Thank you, Dr. Mohit Pirzada. Thank you, Rana Jawad Saab. Thank you, Wajad Khan, for, as always, not disappointing, brilliant discussion. And thanks, one round of applause for Fasi Zaka and that panel. And also a round of applause for the audience who's stuck through, I think, how many hours is it now? We're going on 12 hours. And the loudest claps are from those who've been with us since, I think, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. So, so thank you. Everybody on the stairs, please move to the, thank you, brother. Everybody on the stairs, please move to the middle. Our sort of keynote address and chief guest has also arrived. And I want to very quickly transition into the next session. The next session is basically wrapping everything up. Like we've done all day, Fellow Minister Saab, thank you for coming. Like we've done all day, we have another session currently ongoing that we're going to ask to speed up so that that audience can also join us. But in the meantime, I'll ask the panelists for this discussion, starting with Athar and with Marc-Andre from the UNDP, Mr. Marc-Andre Franche, who's the country director for UNDP, Mr. Athar Sama, who's the head of the Pakistan Innovation Foundation, Adil Najam, Dr. Adil Najam, who was just named the dean of the new global school for the Global Studies School at Boston University. He's joining us via Skype, and I understand that he's been connected already. So I will ask for your patience. It might take us 2 minutes to mic everyone up, but Athar is already mic'd up, and somebody is with Mark, miking Mark up as well. Ulta. Ulta, other side. Turn it all the way around. Yeah. Okay, so let me once again welcome Athar Osama from the Pakistan Innovation Foundation to the stage. And let me request Mr. Marc-Andre Franche to join us on the stage. And finally, let me request the Honorable Federal Minister for Planning, Development and Reform, consistently the only truly committed champion to education at the national level in this country. I have no hesitation in saying that. There are many other champions, but Mr. Ahsan Iqbal, Professor Ahsan Iqbal stands alone among those champions for his commitment. So thank you to him once again. And can we get a mic on Mark as well? Yeah. Athar, I'm going to ask you to sit down on this one. I want you to relax. I'll do the running around. Okay. Yeah. Can somebody hand me the automatic mic, the black one that doesn't have a fault? The black one, the other one.
Adil Najam. Okay.
Moiz, is Adil on?
Adil on.
All right. So let's fire up the screen. Is he there?
You want to?
Oh, there he is, and he's got. It's Movember in April. Okay, so he can hear me. Can I get some volume so that we can hear Dr. Adil Najam?
You want to sit down here or just?
नहीं नहीं आप उधर. How are you?
Sitting here. इधर बैठ के बोल रहे हैं या बोला? उधर आप बोल रहे हैं.
ओके आप ऐसा करें ना इस सेशन में भले इसको एहसन इकबाल साहब को बड़ा कर दें मोइस और इसमें आई गेस मार्क्स उर्दू इज बेटर देन माइन बट ही माइट स्टिल प्रेफर दैट वी स्टिक टू इंग्लिश
ठीक है ये.
So in honor of Mark we might mix only a little bit of Urdu into the overall English sort of conversation. Can we increase the size of the window so that people can see Dr. Adil Najam before I begin? Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you once again. This is kind of a restart to formally introduce the panel, beginning with the Honorable Federal Minister for Planning, Development and Reform, Professor Ehsan Iqbal, whose name I've repeatedly gotten right on this occasion. That's an inside joke or a public joke, depending on whether you were there or not. So thank you, sir, for joining us. And we want to do a very informal panel discussion, but I'd like you to kick things off with a short address, the keynote address for this event called Disrupted, which we organized in conjunction with your ministry. And once again, thank you for your cooperation. Marc-André Franch, who's a country director for the UNDP, but much more than that, passionately and intimately involved with all the reform conversations in Pakistan, despite only being here for a relatively short time. And the UNDP was also one of the partners of this. So thank you for joining us, Mark. And Athur Osama, Dr. Athur Osama, who many of you know, and who was really the driving force behind the entire event today. And his Pakistan Innovation Foundation was also a partner. I think it's at this point that I should do some justice to those who actually put in money into the event. And so I want to recognize Mr. Naveed Siraj from Intel. Intel is a partner and a supporter, and they've done some amazing work in technology uplift in terms of teachers. I want to recognize Ufone, who despite the 3G and 4G, I'd call it a controversy given how little money was spoken of being raised. And I look at the Honorable Minister because I'm expecting a retort. So Ufone also provided support. And I should mention the other people that supported us, and now my memory is failing me.
PTCL.
PTCL, of course, the landlines that we've all forgotten. PTCL also provided support, and they participated in a panel this morning as well. So thanks to all those who provided active support, like the ones I just mentioned. I could also mention Nestle, who provided support, English biscuit manufacturers, Google, and like I said, the Ministry of Planning, Development and Reform, and the UNDP. So with that, oh, and of course, I don't want to forget Dr. Adil Najam. I've already introduced you once, Dr. Saab. Congratulations on your recent appointment as the Dean of the new School for Global Studies at Boston University. We will ask you to go second after the Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, Professor Ehsan Iqbal Saab, the floor is yours.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen, this session has very eminent panelists, so I would not speak much and would rather like to educate myself by listening to this very distinguished panel. But what I would certainly like to say that we live an age, an era of human civilization where innovation and change has become the hallmark of progress and development. Innovation and change is a constant with human beings. This morning I was in Ahmedabad addressing convocation of ComStats University, and I was sharing this thought with the students that what distinguishes human beings from animals is the freedom and liberty to think and innovate. If you look at animal kingdom, lions, horses, cats, dogs, each and every animal is living the same way it used to live 5,000 years ago or 5 centuries ago. But it is only with human beings you can say that they are not living today like they used to live 10 years ago, or they did not live 10 years ago like they used to live 50 years ago, or maybe 200 years ago. So humans have the freedom to think and use this faculty which has been given to them to discover new ideas, to innovate and bring improvement in their quality of life. So if we are not innovating, we are not being human. Any society, any system which stops innovation relegates itself to the animal system or animal kingdom. So humans have had a constant drive to innovate, but given that drive for change or innovation, this era has become very pronounced, because as we have moved or graduated from industrial age to knowledge age, knowledge creation and application of knowledge has become most critical resource or asset for human progress. Societies, organizations, individuals who will possess superior brain power will overcome those who have superior muscle power. There was a time when muscle power used to overwrite all other faculties, but today it is the brain power which overrides other faculties. Technology is another major disruption in the race of development, which at different stages have brought in new opportunities. If you look at our time, and the story can be well understood by the mobile phones which we carry, that how this technology redefines the landscape of each and every activity in which we indulge. I remember there was a time I used to spend a considerable portion of my time for doing work before a desktop computer. But then the laptops came and my time got divided 80% to laptop and maybe 10 or 5% to desktop. And today I can do 80% of my work through smartphones, and I very rarely have to use laptop and desktop, and then the tablets are replacing the laptop. These are all lessons for us to learn that how technology is redefining our activities. In education, the biggest disruption which has come through the technology is that the paradigm of learning or literacy has changed from pen literacy to computer literacy. Today, there are schools in the United States which are using tablets, and use of pen or pencil has almost become redundant from the very early schools, classes in the schools. Now, societies which have no access to digital technology would have a great disadvantage. So now, just as 50 years or 30 years ago, if you asked a banker, what is your basic core competence you need to survive as a bank, they would say that we need to have very superior financial capability. That will make us a successful bank. But today, technology platform has become a core competence for any banking operation. If they do not have a technology platform, they cannot operate a successful bank. Similarly, in education, technology platform has become the core competence of every education system. Any education system which does not have a strong technology platform will be redundant in future. So how do we provide equal opportunity to our children in terms of digital access for learning opportunities will be a major challenge for future. And this is changing the whole model, the way we used to teach and the way we used to learn. Now, through access of internet, through access to technology, It is possible that one good teacher can service children from Karachi to Khyber in all the schools. You cannot confine a good teacher to the geographic limits of one school. Similarly, through technology, there are opportunities of interactive learning, which can bring about a whole new experience, the way children grow. But to do so, we have to come out of the inertia of status quo. Because if you look at education, which is largely in public sector, the inertia of status quo is so strong that it still continues to be the dominant logic, the way of how things get done here. Let me give you one example and I'll conclude and I'll listen to other speakers. And that is where we have food for thought. If you look at the private sector, how has your banking experience changed in last 20 years? There was a time when you had to go to a bank branch and you had to go to a teller to draw your payment through a check. But today, you very seldom get to visit a branch of a bank. You can do banking through your ATMs and the whole experience. Imagine how we used to avail telecommunication services. 20, 30 years ago, people were queuing outside telephone exchanges to get a landline. But today, nobody wants a landline and mobiles have redefined the whole experience. 20 years ago, how we used to shop in retails, the whole experience has changed with the metros and departmental stores. So if anybody came from 30 years and went to a shopping center, went to a telecom facility, and went to a bank, they would be surprised the whole world has changed. But if you took someone from 50 years to a public school, they will have great satisfaction. Oh, it is the same school. Oh, it is the same way of teaching like we used to learn. So there is no change, there is no innovation in the way we are teaching and learning education. And this is an area where we have to catch up with the best practices, and I don't think that everyone has to reinvent the wheel. Done in the world, for people like us, what Professor at Harvard University, Clayton Christensen, has said that this disruptive innovation, which followers can bring in, you don't have to be a leader in every market. Sometimes there is a virtue in being a follower because you can save the cost of developing your new ideas and you can immediately adopt the ideas of the leaders and make some improvements and create a major disruption even for the leader and be a better service provider. So we have opportunities to catch up, and we are trying through our Vision 2025 to embrace all these new ideas in a new comprehensive national education initiative in partnership with the provinces, because now education has been devolved to the provinces, which has made it little complex. But because it has been done, it cannot be reversed. But we are now trying to forge a partnership with the provinces so that we can adopt all those new ideas into our curriculum, because our curriculum requires children to be creative, innovative. They must have ability for critical thinking. They must have abilities for problem solving. But our curriculum is one which still largely draws inspiration from the British India model of education, where we were supposed to produce very refined clerks for the secretarial services who could do bookkeeping. So there has to be a paradigm shift in the curriculum, and we have now agreed with provinces to form a National Curriculum Council, which will have experts from private sector, public sector, and redraw the whole model of curriculum so that we can have children who are better in terms of their creative and innovation abilities and problem solving skills. The second paradigm which we are trying to change in education is bring in the concept of group learning, because the whole concept of work has moved away from worker to teams. So therefore, children must have from very early age ability to work in teams and ability to deal with diversity. And they can only do that if they have experience of learning in group setting. So that is another change which we want to bring in our curriculum. The third, as I said, is the intervention of technology. In Punjab, we have set up 4,500 computer laboratories in all the high schools. And now we are asking and working with all the provinces that actually we need to take this computer access right down to primary school level. So that we must start with the high schools, then go to middle, and then to high school, so that children in remote areas, in rural areas, in backward areas are not the ones who are denied opportunity to learn through this digital divide in which we may have information haves and information have-nots. So that is the third major intervention which we are seeking to make. The fourth major intervention, which is very much linked to innovation, is the major induction of science teachers. In Punjab, we have had the highest number of science teachers inducted in last 5 years, which surpassed the number of science teachers which were recruited in 60 years. And because of lack of science teachers, children in rural areas were forced to take non-science subjects. And what do you see? That every second, third young boy and girl, MA Urdu, MA Persian, MA Islamiyat, MA Arabic, MA Political Science. Well, with all respect for these subjects, they are very important for learning. But in terms of economic development, you know, you have to have the right proportion of all these subjects, and we need those subjects where we have more innovation, where we have more technology, or where we have more science. Certainly philosophy, political science and liberal arts, they have their own merit. But I mean, you cannot have 80% students graduating in liberal arts and only 20% in science. So that's another major change we are bringing, and I hope with the scientific education, creativity and innovation will improve in our education system. With these words, I would like to compliment Alif Elan for making this great contribution, and I would assure them that all the recommendations of this conference, we will be a very ready customer to implement them, because we believe that time has come to move to a new paradigm from what an article in Harvard Business Review said, that Sikh organizations have knowing doing gaps. So we want to move from knowing to doing, which I call K2D. So let us now implement all the nice ideas which we have in these conferences, instead of keeping them only in very glazy reports or CDs. So I assure you that we will be willing partner, ready partner, and implement each doable, implementable idea which you may recommend to transform education system of Pakistan, so that it produces students who are equipped with creativity, innovation and skills which are needed to make Pakistan a successful knowledge economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Ahsan Iqbal Saab, for, as always, making eminent sense and being so open to whatever reflections and thoughts and ideas that we've been able to garner today. I think Athar is going to sum up the day's proceedings for you when he speaks, but Athar is going to go last. Next, I'll request Professor Dr. Adil Najam, who is sitting in Boston and with whom we've had substantial difficulty getting the audio to work, but I believe all the problems of the audio and the video have been resolved. And so, can you hear us?
Gee, I can hear you very well.
We can hear you reasonably well. We'll ask you to enunciate and speak quite loudly. And I will hand over to you, Adil. Thank you for joining us from such a long distance.
Thank you very much. It is a great pleasure to be here. Do you hear an echo?
A little bit, not too much.
I hope this disruption I think we encountered, but this is a good example of also overcoming the disruption. It's also a good example for technology makes these things happen. So first of all, let me just say how honored I am to with such eminent people learned from as the Galstaff, which is up 100 constantly, but I recognize with passion for Pakistan who has such this message. So it's great to be here. I will be wonderful as a child, and I'll be listening to a lot of this on live, not all the panels, but one. So let me make a point and two observations. The first point is the good news. The good news is that there is no longer a major oil problem for Pakistan. और ये एक बहुत change. This is a major sea change. कि we don't have a demand problem. Used to be कि हम कहते थे we have to send the children to school. To induce people to send the children to school. That is no longer true. Especially lower middle class have a sense desire and willingness to pay more than they can afford for to get. Because middle class Pakistan has come to the realization that this is too far for the sector. Before I go on, Africa, okay. Can someone not give us? Okay. So, first point that I said is the demand solve ho gaya hai, and that is the second thing I want to say about technology. Technology is not the same as innovation. Technology is the enabler of innovation. पहले भी लोगों ने बात की, but it is not the same. This we need to be very clear about. Technology है, and it is not simply the innovation itself. So that is the second thing. And इसमें मैं आपको एक छोटी सी example दूँ कि 1909 में Apollo 11 goes to the moon. Your iPhone or smartphone today has 20 million times. 20 million times that was in the Apollo 11. Difference here. Okay, Apollo 11 used that to the moon. These things use it for strategy and jobs in that. So the point I'm making is we want to use it. And the third one is the more serious point. Major disruptions have already happened.
We need 4G.
शरफ आवाज का क्या हाल है?
सर आवाज बहुत गूंज भी रही है और कम भी आ रही है. Can you not be on speaker? Can you pick it up and see if that improves?
I am 8 minutes मुझे दीजिए. Let me just try something and that this should be. Let me turn off the Skype.
That's much better.
Is this better?
Much better.
Okay. So let me suggest the third thing is more serious, and that is that we have had disruptions before. And if you don't do something, disruption will happen. And we have two examples here. One is the rise of the madrasa, and the other is the rise of private education. दोनों जो थे, they were disruptions that were induced by the failure of the state to provide quality education or provide reliable education. So the point I'm making is that disruption आप या plan कर सकते हैं, and if you don't plan it, it will happen at time. And that is the concern by the planet. Let me end with my two major points, Pilot. The first is that where we need disruption, I think, is and people since this morning have been talking about this again, is quality. We have been fixated on quantity, we have been fixated on access, we have been fixated on enrollment. All of those things are very, very, very important. Lekin none of those things alone can give you the result you want unless you have innovation in how you achieve quality. Quality sirf nara lagane ki baat nahi. Quality has to be measured, quality has to be incentivized, quality has to be rewarded. हम जब बात करते हैं, our conversation is इतने बच्चे के अंदर हैं, इतने बच्चे स्कूल के बाहर हैं. My own sense is that the number of poorly educated people in Pakistan is far greater than the number of people who are not in schools. So we are creating generation of badly educated people, and that means generation of unemployable young people. And that is not the solution to the problem. So in some ways, even if in the short term, number of students goes down, but the quality goes up, my sense is that would be better because the quality students will then propel more quality and more numbers as we go into the future. So the focus on quality is important. What type of innovation will work on it? I think one of them is let's start measuring quality. We measure at 5th grade जो चीजें आपको 5वीं grade में पता होनी चाहिए, लिखना, पढ़ना, साफ करना, reading, writing, arithmetic. Do students know that? Measuring quality at the 8th grade. 10th grade में आपके पास already metric हो, but creating incentives that are linked to those qualities. But this takes very, very strong political courage to say that we will, even sitting in saying we have lesser people in education, we will focus on quality to that extent. The last point is on focus on teachers. So as I said, quality comes from two places. One is focus on quality measuring. The second is focus on teachers. Teachers are the most important. We have done one thing right. The salary structures have gone up. Now they have to be linked to performance. To recertify teachers. Promotion should be based on recertification. एक तो knowledge change हो रही है दुनिया. We need to retrain teachers to keep up with the new knowledge. The other thing is, every 5 years you have to recertify yourself. This happens all over the world. And your promotion, your incentives are linked to how you do in that. So the incentive has to come not only for the student, but for the teacher. My parting thought is the following. Give me a good teacher, I will give you a great education. Give me a bad teacher, and a bad teacher will be a system spoil. They will bring down the whole bottom, and that's been the challenge. So my message simply is innovation is needed most of all in quality, and technology is the enabler of it. तो चाहे वो MOOC से आप टीचर ट्रेन करें, चाहे वो आप ऑनलाइन सर्टिफिकेशन फॉर टीचर्स करें, but that is the type of this where you need to use technology. Thank you again, and my apologies if the stakeholders have been bad.
Thank you, Adil Najam. And thank you in particular for tolerating the problematic technology glitches that we had, but we overcame them, and I'm delighted that we did. You have a room full of rapt audience members, and we will sustain that energy by asking Marc-Andre to take the rostrum and share his thoughts and his ideas, and I know he has many. Marc-Andre Franche, Country Director, UNDP. Thank you.
Thank you, Musharraf. I don't know if, yes, thank you, Musharraf, and thank you very much, Atir Osama, and Ali Falan for inviting UNDP to this event today. It's a very refreshing format with a James Bond title, so it's always exciting to see innovation as well, I guess, in panel making. So thank you very much for organizing this. I'll be relatively brief. I know a lot of you have been here since 8 o'clock, so I want to first say how much of an honor it is for me to share a panel with Minister Ahsan Iqbal and with Professor Adil Najam, both I admire immensely for their knowledge and leadership, so it's a real honor for us to share this panel. First, I want to talk about perhaps some of the good news that Minister Iqbal has underlined a few of them, and I think it's important to start at least with a smile and with some of the positive aspects that have been happening in Pakistan. I think we have certainly in Pakistan a growing consensus on the educational emergency, and I think this is extremely important, and it has happened. We have globally accepted Millennium Development Goals that have been fully embraced by Pakistan. They're at the heart of Vision 2025, and I am very inspired by Minister Iqbal's wanting to make these goals not global goals but national goals, and I think this has contributed to education being at the forefront of the development priorities in Pakistan and are part of the 4 E's of the PMLN government. Every province in Pakistan has also selected MDG 2 on education as their priority, enrollment rates as their priority, and are developing MDG acceleration frameworks on education, and I think this is also contributing to this momentum. We do have better data nationally, but especially in Punjab, who are really at the forefront of raising and using data for decision making, and other provinces need to replicate this. We do have as well better analysis. Some of the analysis that Dr. Adil Najam has just presented, we have better analysis on access, on quality, but also we have analysis now on behaviors, institutional hurdles, corruption that is happening at the micro level throughout the country and are the reason why 25% of teachers don't show up at work. All of these initiatives, UNDP has been really very open and has supported these initiatives. But we also have very good examples of the uses of technology. Umar Saif in Punjab has been a real promoter of using technology for social policy, and KP is now launching a new initiative to monitor school attendance using technology, cell phones, which I think is very important. Political engagement has also been extremely important. All political parties in Pakistan have included education in the center of their program. It might not have been a central stake in the campaign, and media have focused on perhaps other issues, but every party was there saying that education was a priority, and I think this is progress. Budgets are now also available, not only in the provinces. Each province has raised their budgets, but there's a national commitment by the Prime Minister and the government to raise the investment in education from 2 to 4% of GDP, and I think this is also extremely important. And finally, donors, external donors have all put education in the center. UK, EU, US, Canada, Australia, but also Saudi Arabia have put education at the center of their cooperation strategy. So this is all very, very good news for Pakistan, and I think we have to underline this. Now, I think as Minister Iqbal underlined, translating this momentum of the education emergency into effective results is the real challenge. And for that, Pakistan will need to take advantage of these opportunities demonstrated by global experience, technology, of course, hardware, software, social media, new approaches as well, the famous policy labs that I think you've been discussing over these days, where policy labs allow governments to test new initiatives using data and analytics, but especially tapping into behavioral economics. And I think there's a huge potential in Pakistan to emulate these policy labs. And third, there's significant innovation in M&E approaches and methods. But I think these policy or technical are not valid, or we will not be able to take advantage of these if there's not two macro or two fundamental disruptions, if I may, that happen in the country. The first one, I would call it social consciousness. It's impossible if we don't have the elite in particular in this country that decide to care, that if the elite do not decide that they will shed away immediate benefit, personal and group interest in favor of the global good, if we're not able to convert education into an issue where the elite see this not only for social justice, but for their own survival and the survival of the country, it's going to be impossible to take advantage of these innovations. In my own country, in Canada, the elite, the only reason why we were able to reduce poverty and grow and innovate and compete is because the elite took a very, very conscious decisions to sacrifice short-term gains in favor of building institutions that provide quality education for future generations. And this is a sacrifice that is not easy. I think Professor Adil Najam was talking about political courage, and this is not only of politicians, it is of the elite of this country. And I think this is the major disruption that is required in this country. The second, and I think this is also very important, no amount of money, technology, or approaches will replace basic institutions that are able to plan democratically, budget, and spend in a transparent way at the provincial and local level. You can have all the gadgets that you want. If a basic institution of education is not able to plan, budget, and spend the budgets that are allocated, there's no use of bringing technology, new approaches. So I think these are, on the one hand, a macro, and on the other, a micro, that are going to be fundamentally important if we are to disrupt the education sector in Pakistan. Thank you very much. Bahut meherbani.
Thank you, Marc-Andre, for that. Athar, this is the last time that I'll address the audience, so I'll just take a very quick minute, and then I'll let you do something similar at the end of your thoughts and reflections. But I just wanted to, again, thank all the partners that we had, beginning with the Ministry of Planning, Reform and Development, the UNDP, Google, Intel, Ufone, PTCL, Nestle, EBM, Pakistan Innovation Foundation, and I've certainly missed a few, and a whole range of civil society partners. I should particularly mention the Ilm Ideas Project, which is a sister/brother project funded by DFID. The ISAPS team, as always, were fantastic partners and hosts and enablers for us, and I think Ahmed Ali is here. Yes, he is. We had the people from ITA, the people that bring you the ASER report every year, and including the recent one, which is the only source of really good quality metrics in Pakistan. They supported us. I'm sure I've missed a few. They'll be upset with me. I've probably missed Intel, which I remembered earlier, but now I've remembered again. And I should also, which I usually don't do, but it's not for any reason other than I forget to, but I should also thank DFID who fund Alif Elan, and who allow us the freedom to do what we want to do and to say what we want to say, which is why we have the credibility that you've given us. So I wanted to thank everyone who's been in the room, all the ushers, the volunteers, our network coordinators and education activists who came in from 35 different districts today to support what we do, which is largely a voluntary enterprise. So I'm grateful to all of them. I won't name them singularly. And I should also, and I usually don't do this, but I should also thank the Alif Elan team itself. I've never worked with a more committed group of people who work as hard as they do. And I get to enjoy the benefits of the spotlight and the mic in my hand, but it's their work that I'm standing on the shoulders of. So thank everyone. And finally, most of all, I think I've mentioned before, I should mention again, thanks to Dr. Athar Osama, who worked on this in a way that I've never seen any outsider work on anything. So he's an insider, and he is Alif Elan. Thank you, Athar.
So, I know this is past the closing time for this this conference, and I won't take too much of your time. I do want to share that this is, such a both official and personal honor for me to be in a session in which, Professor Ehsan Iqbal is also present. I still remember about 20 years ago when I was just 17, was the first time that I met Dr. Ahsan Iqbal, and had the honor of working with him at the Planning Commission in his first tenure as the deputy chairman. And wherever I am today, he has a lot to do with that. So this is really a great privilege and personal honor for me to be on the stage with you, sir. So innovation is very personal to me. When I was growing up in Pakistan, and I did my first degree in engineering, and we always used to think, in being an engineer means you can build things, you can change things, and you can, bring utility and value to your society. But unfortunately, there are not a lot of opportunities for Pakistani engineers to realize their dreams. Unfortunately, Pakistan does not build a lot of things. And so I had to make a decision to basically quit engineering and go abroad and do a PhD in science and innovation policy, believing that at least I would be able to create the institutions, the environment and the policy so that the hundreds of thousands of engineers that Pakistan produces would be able to realize their value. It's been 15 years since then. The work is still going on, and I think our challenges are becoming steeper and steeper. So when I left Pakistan about 15 years ago, I remember life to be much easier than what it is today. People were not as wealthy. We didn't have flashy cars and mobiles, but I believe life was much easier and much better. 15 years later, I'm back, and while we have a lot of money, the society, and there are lots of problems, whether you take, energy, electricity, transportation, pollution, whatever, I think life has become much hard for Pakistan. If you fast forward another 20 to 25 years, we will be 300 million people on a land size smaller than California, with agricultural productivity probably 1/10 of California, probably much less water than California. So I just cannot imagine how life would be at that time, and I don't want to believe that we would have to face these challenges multiplied by maybe 10, 20 times. So I believe that the only way out for a country like Pakistan is innovation. We have problems for the last 60 years because of the way certain things work certain way. And unless we begin to think out of the box about those problems, we are not going to address those problems. That's just the only way. And that to me was the genesis of Pakistan Innovation Foundation. So when Musharraf Zaidi came to me, talking about disruptive innovation, that was music to my ears. And thank you for this opportunity to be able to do this with you. I believe that education is ripe for disruptive innovation in Pakistan. There are all the conditions are in place for this disruption to happen. We've had an exciting conference all day. I hope you all enjoyed your conference. We had a number of very interesting sessions. We heard, for instance, in the 3G session that 3G is not the panacea that we think it is going to be, that we have to work on a number of things alongside the provision of 3G services for us to be able to make the kind of impact on education needs, and that we have to address the problem of performance and incentives within the public sector. So I think this has, overall been a very exciting day of conversation, and we hope to take some of these ideas forward and hopefully inject these into the public domain, into the media discourse, and hopefully some of these ideas would be taken up by the relevant institutions, across the country. I think education is such a personal matter to all of us, because at the end of the day, what we do in education is really we play with children's dreams. When they go to a school and they want to become somebody, whether that's a pilot, it's a doctor, or it's a lawyer, or it's somebody else, they are basically giving us the opportunity to engage with their dreams. And if at the end of this entire process, we are not able to impart them the right kind of skills needed to be able to become what they want to become or realize their ambitions, we are doing such a disservice to these young children. So I think we, elders who have responsibility for, running institutions, for, running schools, for making policies in this country, we have to realize that this is very delicate business. and that we must bring all that is in our power to ensure that we can bring the right kind of focus, energy, enthusiasm, and sincerity to this enterprise. So I think with that, I would like to thank all of you for being here, and to Mr. Ehsan Iqbal for being here, and we would continue to engage with the office with more ideas, more disruptive thoughts, and hopefully the Ministry of Planning, Development and Reform would ultimately become the Ministry of Disruption as well. And with that, I would would like to close this session. Okay.
Just wanted to, because there'll always be leftover things. I said I wouldn't address the group, but I will. Exactly, the disruption. So one person, well, there's a number of people I'll introduce to you as we walk out, but one person that I wanted to recognize is young Rai Haris Manzoor, who's in the audience. He was also on another panel. He's a 9-year-old child that got, I think, something like 23 A's in his O-levels.
No,
So I just wanted...
he's the youngest to do O-levels in the world.
Youngest to do O-levels ever. So I just wanted to introduce young Rai Haris to the minister. And I think also a round of applause for mom and dad, because young Haris is nothing without the family that he has. And on that very positive note, I'll once again thank all of you. Thanks especially to the minister and to everyone else. Have a very good evening, and we'll see you all very soon, inshallah.